Not really. I do think we might talk a little bit into run wait. Um, that is a very interesting command. I think not everybody knows the command. All right. So I've seen everybody use the run command, by the way, but not the run wait.
We don't know what question you're answering.
I'm not actually answering any question. I'm kind of like bringing a new topic.
Okay.
As nobody's asking any questions, right? So as nobody asks any question, I'm actually kind of like wondering, hey, the run wait command might be a good way to kind of like talk about it, because I saw something recently. I will show you something that I was testing last night. It's a good research that I was doing. But here's the thing: I've seen everybody use the run command. Okay, so you can run, say, for example, MS, so Chrome or something. You can run, and when you run this, it goes ahead and opens your Chrome window. Interestingly, and this is the most important part, it runs whatever it's supposed to run, but then it doesn't wait for it in any sort of way. It doesn't wait for it to be active, doesn't wait for it to be opened. It just launches it, and then the next line in the code gets executed without any care in the world. All right. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So then if I run this, I will get Chrome, and at the same time, I will have my message box, and you can see them kind of like one happened even before the other one. Let me see if I can, let me see. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but it just pops right before Chrome. But there is a second command that we can use. It's called the run wait command. Now that one, I know that some of you know about it, but you probably don't know something about it that is very interesting to me, at least. So the run wait does the same as run, but it does not continue execution of the next line until the program that you opened gets closed. This is extremely useful in many cases when you want to perform certain actions and you want to make sure that whatever you launched finishes first, and probably whatever launched, you want to know what happened to it. And that's the part that I don't know if people know about. So what am I talking about? Okay, so if I do this, the message box is not going to show up unless I close Chrome. That's when it then shows up, right? Which is useful in many cases. But what if I want to say, hey, I want to launch this CMD command, and if the command was successful, I want to do this one thing, but if the command was not successful, then I want to do this other thing. That is very powerful. And I think you can achieve it by using run wait as a function, because if you do it like that, it returns a value. It returns a result. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and call the command line ACMD, I guess. What is it? What is it? Spec. I hate the name of that variable.
Yeah.
I never remember it. Com spec. I think it is yeah, it's com spec. It lets you know how old this thing is, the toolkit, that by the time I created it, that variable didn't exist. It was not even there yet. So I want to run comspec, and I want to close it, and I want to do a directory search on the C drive, right? That's what I want to do. I want to run, wait for it to finish, and then I want to see what the result is. There it goes. We got a window popped up, it closed, and I got a 0. This is a good number in programming, mostly. What happens is, for a lot of programs, I would say most of the desktop applications that I know of that are command line interfaces, 0 means no errors, 0 errors, all right? As soon as you get a number, 1, 2, 3, bajillion, it doesn't really matter. That number indicates what error was there. And we can do that in AutoHotkey, by the way. I can show you how to do that later. But the idea is, the exit code of a program, if it is 0, is good. If it is not 0, something might went wrong. And I could use that for my testing. If, and again, this might be an error in, error code, I could call it. If I did get an error code, I could display there was an error. And if I didn't get an error code, I could say everything run fine. That's what I want to do. Now, I cannot depend on this all the time, but interestingly, the RunWait command allows me to do this whenever possible. Let me see what happens if I give it an invalid directory here. I would expect the dir command to exit with an error, and I hopefully see that is a numeric error that is less than or more than 0, I think. Let's see what happens here. There you go. We got a 1. Something went wrong. Probably 1 means syntax error. Now I can tell, hey, there was an error in the execution of this command, or hey, everything was fine. Does that make sense? So the RunWait command, especially for command line interfaces, programs like FFmpeg might do this too. FFmpeg, if it tries to run and it couldn't, it would go ahead and return a number. I very much think that's the case. You see -22, something happened, right? But if I give it some sort of correct path and correct thing, that would return 0. Then again, the RunWait command as a function for you capturing the code at the end might be more useful than it is. And I haven't seen this usage very often. Joe, have you seen this? I haven't seen it, not even in the forums that often. I see a lot of people using the run command. Just run something. Yeah. And then they try to figure out if the thing ran or not by doing something else,
Well, the trick is, how often do you really want to wait for it to end, quote unquote, end?
That's a great question. Yeah,
that's what I think. Just not as common as It's unfortunate there's not a hey the window is, I mean the program is open and idle or something, right? Like, but of course every program is different.
Yeah.
I guess you just use the when active or when exists to see if the window, if that program's window is open.
Well, you're right, but I think that's the reason why I kind of like focused on command line interfaces, because, for example, if it is a program like Chrome, of course, if I launch Chrome, I don't know when Chrome is going to be exiting, right? Like it could just exit at any point. Somebody could click the close button, or somebody could leave it there. But command line interfaces are not meant for that. Command line interfaces are usually run and exit, right?
You know what's funny though, Isaias, is you remember we made that killer script and showed how you can put Windows message monitoring in the scripts and have it in your main script that when this one exits, it kills the other ones?
Yeah.
I could probably use the RunWait in some ways when I'm launching. Because you know how I said, I know when I close this one program that I'm done.
All the others,
yeah. Right.
That might be well, so long as you are not doing anything with because again, RunWait is blocking. So anything below that line is not going to get executed until.
Yeah, but my point is I would tell it, RunWait, and it's going to, they would just trigger that and run the one thing. But that is what I would use to trigger the close of my other
close, right, when they're done, right? Okay. Again, so those are the things I'm just saying. Yesterday, I was I was checking on if there's a way for me to print something to PDF without using some external libraries. The easiest way that I found is now from Windows 10 up, right? I don't know how it would work in older computers. And I think it was the saved PDF here. This was what I was testing yesterday, and it works perfectly fine. But the point was, I was doing this command, but then I wanted to know, hey, is it working? Like, did it work? That's when I researched a little bit longer, and then I found out, yeah, the run wait, I can do that, right? So I was doing the run. I was just doing this the whole time. Just run MS Edge, pass the arguments, and give it back, and we're good to go, right? Because I will just check the desktop whether the PDF file was created or not, right? But then I was like, that's stupid. I know that the run wait actually returns the exit code, so I could just basically look at it as soon as it finishes. And it just so happens that it worked fine. So when I run the script, it takes a little while, but in the end, I saw a code 0. And when I go to the desktop, I would see that there is a PDF file that was created from this HTML file. Basically, that's what happens. Which now makes the question, what happens if I try to rewrite it? I will take a look at that. But as you can see, that's how I came up with this particular topic. And again, this idea of, hey, let's just use whatever is available to do whatever I need. For now, like I think MS Edge will be installed by default in so many computers that I assume that we can print to PDF without needing to use an external program, because I already have something that does that for me. Does that make sense?
And you looked around and the Windows RT didn't have?
Yeah, actually that same PDF, this PDF, that's conversation, it was part of me looking for WinRT stuff to do PDF conversions. They have third-party libraries that use those components, but not exactly. So yeah, that's what I was kind of like looking for. Anything in the Windows RT to do sort of that. But no, not really. Not even the Windows API, the Win32 API, not even. And that's the key word. If the Windows 32 API doesn't have it, it's very, very likely that the Windows RT one is not going to have it, because WinRT is built on top of the Windows 32 API. Right.
One more question about the run wait. So
Yep.
if I run wait some program and I have a timer running that checks for something, does run wait affect?
No, that doesn't block that. And actually, if you run that in a timer, it wouldn't block your script either. Timers are really useful. So basically, what I could do is two things. Let's start a timer. So set timer. I'm just gonna display a tooltip. Tooltip. A tick count. And that's gonna run every 50 milliseconds, right? And then I will do the run wait. This timer should not be blocking, all right? So it should not be blocked. There it is. So it's running, and then I should have the message box. Again, they're totally different threads, right? The same way happens if I actually do this part in the timer. So I should be able to do this and just do it once. So I will do minus 50, but I just want it to run once. I don't want it to be doing that all the time, right? So at this point, let me just copy this because it has to be function called. And then down here, my other part of the code. I should receive this message box first, and then after a little while, I should get the other one, because they shouldn't be blocking each other. Because again, so my other part of the code just executed, and after a little while, then I get the other one saying that it was good. Timers are extremely useful when you have to do certain things at the same time, so to speak, right? They're not really happening at the same time, but yeah, you can do that. If you have something that is blocking and you don't want it blocking, just run it on a different thread and you should be good.
And the sleep doesn't affect the timer?
Which sleep?
The normal sleep?
No, of course not. It depends on where you put the sleep.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm saying is, if you start one thread, in here you have a message box. But before that, you started a different thread, which has the run wait. okay? They're separated from one another. They cannot block each other. Now, if you put a sleep right here, yeah, that sleep is going to block that run wait because they're in the same timer. Now, if you put the sleep down here, it will block this thread. This one is not going to be blocked. They are not related to one another. Again, they're different threads. They cannot be, you cannot block with this, the other one. As far as I understand, let's test it. We can always test that. Again, you just create one timer with some sort of tooltip, all right? So let me just duplicate this so I don't lose the code. So you have a tooltip here. And usually whenever you want to take a look at those, just do an AT count because that way it goes very fast every 50 milliseconds. So let's put a sleep 1000 right before, oh shoot, the tooltip. Just gonna put it right before the tooltip, all right? And those two things go to execute it in one go, all right? And you will see that this is gonna take a little while. And actually, let me put a tooltip in front of it. Tooltip. Started. You will see that this sleep is gonna block that thing, all right? And we're gonna do this. Yeah, there's a 50 millisecond. Look, this is supposed to happen every 50 milliseconds. That sleep is gonna be a killer. You see, there's the started, and then after a while, the other tooltip should, well, it's so fast because we're getting it over and over again. But let me do this because it's happening so many times. Started, then the tooltip. You see that? But the sleep is there. Let me make it 5 seconds. But the problem is, if you make it like this, each timer is executing a new thread. So you see the started over and over again. You never get to see the other one because there's another tooltip. You see, that is blocking the 5 seconds. But by the time the other tooltip is going to show up, a new tooltip showed. Let me put another sleep here. But I guess you understood the idea. I am getting sleeps to block inside this thread. That makes sense, right? Because they are in the same thread. But not the message box, though. You can see the message box showed up. It doesn't really matter. Then we had the tooltip, and then we're going to see the other started. You will see that. You see? So you see how that takes a little bit of time because all of those sleeps affect that thread because they are in that thread. Now, if I put a sleep out here, and I just do my AT count, I don't have sleeps in there. Is that going to affect that? Not at all. It shouldn't. You see, my tooltip is still there. Has nothing to do with it because they are in a different part of your code. Different thread is what it's called. So actually, there is I will send you, Irfan. I don't know if anybody else is very interested in that. I follow a channel that gives a lot of low-level information about computers, how computers work. And one of the videos was only about threads, how things run sort of at the same time. What does that mean and why one thing doesn't block the other? So I will send you the link, Irfan. I would definitely, I think you like a lot of those topics. So you might want to look at the channel and watch the other videos as well. I will share in the Hero group for anybody else who wanted. I just think it's a little bit too low level for many people. But these kind of explanations that I'm giving you, I just got it from there.